My name is David Carlos. I am the owner and manager at Victoria Era Photos, and we can be found at victoriaeraphotos.com. And what we really do is 50-50, I guess is best to describe it. 50% of what we do is operations, be it photography, videography, or surveys and mapping. And then the other 50% of what we do is training and consulting, which is a big market and need for people to learn how to get into this safely. And so we kind of do both those things very efficiently, and sometimes we're actually able to get our students doing real operations so that they can learn how to do it and how to be in a real professional drone operation. And so this has a tremendous opportunity to serve the needs of a lot of people, from surveyors to engineers to those who are working in the drone business. And so we're excited to be a part of that. And that's one portion of what we do. The other portion of what we do is drone consultations and training for those who want to employ drones safely in Canada. So we're working with our partners at Transport Canada and the RPAS task force to roll that out. And so this has really been my full-time occupation for the last 6 to 7 years now, and it's been quite the adventure. Yeah, well, one of the ways we've been able to really implement the drone technology is with a recent request to survey a wetland in which they were trying to discover and document invasive species. And so that was a wonderful opportunity for us to again do a mapping mission using the drone technology, and scout a whole area of interest where there was this invasive species suspected to be taking over a natural habitat. And so here we discovered that drones were able to actually assist in environmental control and be able to assist in an environmental project. So this is what we're excited about. When we can see drones benefit humanity, when we can see them benefit the world and work to solve real life problems, that's really exciting for us, because that is has been our vision ever since 2013, when this technology really started to grow. Is we wanted to see them be used for practical applications where it could benefit the environment. It could even save lives. And so that's been the exciting process of drones, and we want to just continue that as we go along. Construction has been also a very exciting prospect. We're starting to see drones be able to actually analyze and calculate stockpiles. So one recent client that we had was a construction contractor on a large site out in the Western Communities, and they had stockpiles of aggregate delivered to their site. For whatever reason, they wanted to just analyze that and wanted to audit it and make sure that what they were delivered was actually accurate. And it seems like a reasonable request and investigation. And so sure enough, we sent up a drone to do a precise mapping mission of the construction site with the aggregate piles. And by doing that, we were able to calculate with precision to the nearest square yard what the volume of those aggregate piles were. And so we were simply able to just print out the report in different files, email it to the customer, and they were, I'm sure, very happy with the results, because they did not have to hire a traditional surveyor to do a more complex, time-consuming process to calculate the aggregate piles. So that's one really exciting example that I did recently, was with that. But there have been other ones where people simply wanted construction analysis done. Wanted the site surveyed, wanted time-lapse photography in terms of where they were on the development. And so there's really an endless possibility with how drones can be incorporated and applied in the construction business as well. The drones are, like any technology, starting to become more cheaper and more widely available, including off-the-shelf products. And it was one estimate confirmed that there are more unmanned flying machines, these drones, RPAS, whatever you want to call them, flying around in Canadian airspace than manned aircraft put together. And so Transport Canada has been charged with dealing with the outfurling of this technology, and they have a very rigorous regulation regarding drones to regulate them. Obviously, we don't want all these drones flying in our airspace, which could represent collision and danger hazards. And so yes, there is a process by which anyone that is recreational or commercial have to be certified by Transport Canada in order to fly. Any drone that is over 250 grams is the rule. And so, as I said, there's been a real vacuum for training in that ever since I got into drones. And so that's what kind of got me into it, was understanding the fundamental principle that if we do this business, if we're in this new business, we should also be a part of trying to teach other people, teach the public at large about the safety of drones. That there is regulations, that if you do fly one and you are endangering the public, you could be arrested and charged with handling an aircraft in a unsafe manner. So these are the kinds of things we want to educate people about, so that we continue to unfurl the regulations. But another thing I've observed is that if you're in the workplace or you're in the market, there's only so much time that you have. And so I find, if you're a professional surveyor, for example, or an engineer, or even some real estate professional, I mean, you don't have time to become an expert drone pilot in addition to all the other activities that you're doing. And so we really try to assert to people that, look, if you want to do drones, hire a professional to do it. Somebody that's certified, somebody that's already gone through that, to do your drone work, especially when you're talking about more advanced operations. If you're talking about LiDAR, if you're talking about the thermal inspections, it's barely worth buying a $20,000 machine just to use it once a year. If you're talking about going into yourself. So we really try to tell companies that unless you foresee yourself using drones on a regular basis, to hire it out to a professional company or somebody that is certified and that you can trust, that has insurance and everything in place. Well, they are very accurate, and I know that because I have a surveyor who has used them to do operations. We're starting to see them get to centimeters, to 1 and 2 centimeters of accuracy, using either the onboard GPS antennas that they have, if you have an RTK equipped drone, or if you're talking about using a drone with software application and ground control points. And that is something I've also done as well, where we have laid out ground control points so that as the drone flies around, when it comes to calibrating the mission, you can zoom in on precision survey grade ground control points, tie that into the software, and then it puts the whole map into those ground control points to give it extreme accuracy in terms of where the monument boundaries are of, say, a given private property, or even when you're looking at volumetrics and fills and piles and digs as well. It gives you accurate results with that too when you incorporate it with ground control points. And that's just with photogrammetry. That's not using LiDAR. Yeah, well, just to give you one of the more popular models here, which is the Phantom 4 Pro series. This was kind of one of the drones I started out on back in 2013. And back then, all it carried was a GoPro camera. That's all we had, and I was never really into GoPro cameras because they didn't have a really high resolution. But since then, back in 2013 to now, we have a camera with a 1-inch sensor in it, and with 21 megapixels of resolution and a whole bunch of other features on a relatively small consumer drone. And so this is actually our #1 aircraft that we use, because it simply takes a better photograph with more resolution and quality than even its predecessor, the Inspire 1 series. So this is our aircraft, and as you can see, it does have the number, the Transport Canada required number on it, which again is a reminder of what we're talking about. They have to be certified. You have to register them. You have to be a certified pilot to fly them. But there you have it, and inside of here would be the antenna, GPS antenna buried in here with a whole bunch of other radar and sensors and so forth on the aircraft that is designed to keep it from obstacle avoidance. So now we're beginning to see drones have an artificial intelligence, the capability to avoid obstacles, the capability to interrupt flight and fly on autopilot. And so the technology is just exploding, and we can see that there really is no end in sight in terms of what they're going to be able to do in the future. They're becoming more efficient. This one can stay aloft for up to half an hour. Back when I started out with in 2013, it was only about 10 minutes of flight time we had. If we were lucky, you know, you'd be trying to head home at about probably 7 minutes. And so that is the technology of the battery, which is the lithium polymer battery that it carries, has advanced into the technology for these batteries is advanced with the technology of the drone, the camera, the GPS sensing, and so forth, and so on. So what will be next? We're seeing them get even smaller than this and more powerful. So that is what we're doing. This thing can fly about close to 80 kilometers an hour. Just to give you a picture of how powerful this aircraft is. And that's been something we've dealt with from day one, is that if pilots or if these drone operators are not compliant, then it becomes an issue of non-compliance. It becomes an issue of illegal drone activity. And this is what we really don't like to see. We want to see people be certified. We want to see them qualified and trained, because what they're doing is very important. When you get an advanced Transport Canada license, for example, you are being authorized to fly one of these UAVs, or these drones, that could weigh up to 25 kilograms. That's a lot of weight, right? Flying in airspace, that's a lot of weight that could come crashing down on you, or a highway or a built-up area if a problem were to occur, which there can be. These things can go out of control. They can have glitches, they can have defects in them. And so that's part of our training. That's a big part of our training, is to work out what those defects are and be prepared for them so that we can prevent them. And if they do occur, know how to deal with it. So we really try to be professional. We try to appear professional. We wear high-vis vests. We have all of our paperwork, our license and certification on us. We actually put out a sandwich board near the operation that lets people around the area know what we're doing. And we remember that just with that bog. I remember a neighbor coming up, and before she talked to us, she just looked at the sandwich board where it had our name, our phone number, our website, and just some instructions about how to keep the public safe. Stay away from the art. We're doing a survey, we're doing a photographic operation right now with authorization, with a permit. And so that member of the public at large went away feeling confident that whatever was going on there using this drone, this unmanned flying machine, they were professionals. And that's what the message we're really trying to give to our clients, so they can feel relaxed and comfortable. Sometimes we'll actually hand out notices to neighbors, to people around the area, just to give them advance notice of what we're doing. I remember one time we had a job to survey the exterior cladding of a condominium that was occupied. And so right away I was like, okay, we have a privacy issue on our hands right now. And so talking to the manager of that building, we were able to give people 1 week's notice that we're going to be doing this operation, this inspection, and to simply take precautions, close their curtains, etc., etc. And so really nobody was surprised, and everybody was prepared for it. Everybody was happy. The operation went very well. So that's just an example of what we try to do proactively. Now, there's no Transport Canada rule that says you have to do that, but that's something that we at Victoria Air Photos and Survey have implemented into our business protocol to deal with privacy issues, to deal with safety concerns. We really see no end in this. One senior officer in the United States was asked, about this, and he said that every project that they're working on in terms of the military air assets, all of them are unmanned. Not one of them is manned. So the military has always been forerunners in this technology. In fact, that was one of the things that inspired me to get into it, was looking at a military documentary and seeing how they were using drones to save lives and so forth. So there's no end in sight to it. It's going to continue to develop and get broader and broader as the days and the years go by. We're starting to see them for logistics, delivering cargo and payloads now. We're starting to see that in Canada, back east, delivering medical supplies to rural areas, inspecting pipelines. There's no end. Doing oil spill analysis and so forth. So doing precision agriculture with drones is really the way of the future, because the drones can again do a mapping mission and be able to use the camera's lens to tell if there's any plant life that is stressed in a given field. So farmers can take that data, analyze it, and make decisions about where they put costly assets. And if you're a farmer, you know what I'm talking about. Prescriptions for bugs, water for certain areas of crops, fertilizer, and so on. These are really costly assets. And so the drones, multispectral imaging, if you will, can determine a stress plant before the naked eye can. And you see farmers launching their drones or getting some other business to scout their crops, and they realize this is improving yields by 25% or 35% and saving a lot of money and resources. So that's something I'd really like to see, because one of the arguments was, if we continue on our trajectory, we're going to run out of food, because farmers need to produce higher yields with less land. So that's an exciting prospect about how we can incorporate this technology into the agricultural business. And I'm waiting for that to happen. I'm waiting for my first call from a farmer who would be interested in employing that or trying it out, or let's give it a trial and see how it works. So that'll be an exciting thing in the future. Well, one other thing about just where it's going to go is that we're going to see, it won't be a multi-rotor anymore that's flying. It'll be a multi-rotor that's capable of flying like an airplane as well, fully autonomously. And we're looking to employ that kind of an aircraft in the near future. It's called a hybrid, half helicopter, half fixed wing. And the advantage of that is I could potentially scout 400 acres of land on one battery with a hybrid drone. Now, a Phantom or none of these off-the-shelf products could ever do anything remotely close to that. And so now we're seeing, an aircraft able to scout your 400 acres in a fraction of the time and give real-time data returns to the end user. And so that is kind of where we'd like to go next with this technology. Again, trying to get the word out, trying to educate the public so they can understand this is the hurdle, and that's what we're trying to do, with these kinds of interviews and so on. We want to get them out, the people educated on it so they can be in a position to use it. Yeah, and it's going to rewrite the rules of the game, like any technology that comes along. Right. For decades and decades doing an aerial map of a city, you had to hire an airplane. You had to get a pilot, you had to get a photographer, you had to take stretches, photographs of stretches of land. Well, now I can get a UAV to do a much better job, arguably safer, because I don't have any, if a UAV falls down over a city, it's much less damage than a real aircraft falling over a city. And so we're going to be seeing that. We're going to be seeing drones in journalism. We're going to be seeing drones dropping off prescriptions. UPS and FedEx are working on it, along with some other couriers of the idea of getting drones into logistics, inspections, and so on and so forth are all the wonderful things we want to do. It's going to bolster the economy. We need to have, this is a new reality in our economy, and we want to blend it in safely, incorporate it into the airspace safely, so that everybody can benefit, including people that are, looking for jobs in the private sector, or looking to scale their business in the ag market or the survey market. And so you're going to get to the point where you can't turn your backs on this technology. It just is too promising. It can do too much, and in a relative costless way. So that's what we want to. That's the business we're in. We can do the operations, or we can train people so that they can see if they want to do it themselves, if they have what it takes. As modern as this technology is, it's not flawless. There is things you have to know. There is limitations that we talk about in the RPAS course, for example, that you've taken, right? And we learn to mitigate those risks, because, if losing a $5,000 drone is something that you do by mistake every 10 flights you do, obviously that's an unsustainable aspect to a business plan as well. So, but no, we'll work together. It's kind of an independent business in the sense that usually people will have their drone and do their own freelance type of work, you know what I mean? But I think if we can work together and and in tandem, I think you could have much better successes and reach a much broader market and be able to do much better service if you can work together as a team and have multiple people working on the same objective of offering drones out to the public at large in a responsible, safe, and certified manner, which is what we do. We're seeing them starting to scout and for prospectors in mining. People that are looking for gold and silver are starting to use drones as part of their work and their surveys that they do to find places that they want to prospect. So again, endless, almost overwhelming amount of capability that they have. So doing the broad spectrum approach is kind of difficult at times, because you want to try to narrow it down. And that's where I find I'm starting to get, after 5-6 years in this business, is try to focus on something that you will like to do. Some people love photography and real estate photography and producing these beautiful videos and drone videos, where other people are more into mapping, surveying work, and producing a precision map of an area. Other people may be into sea rescues or search and rescues. You see what I mean? So there's different paths you can go down with the technology as you see fit to what you like to do. Obviously, you can't do it all. So you have to, I think a drone pilot, you have to pick what you want to do and try to be the very best that you can and offer a good service. Especially when it comes to things like mapping, like the software. I won't kid you, it's expensive for some of these mapping type of solutions. And so there's an example of where you don't want to, be involved in too many things, or it's not gonna work out. So you have to specialize. At Victoria Air Photos, we have a very popular program, which is called the RPAS 101. It used to be UAS 101. but now we've changed it to RPAS 101, which is really the same thing, just a different term. And since about 2014, we have been offering that program to train people from all walks. Again, very wide spectrum, from government employees in British Columbia's interior for interior natural resources, to transportation and infrastructure, to civic workers like mapping technicians for cities, all the way to a student at UVic looking to do this in addition to for cement analysis in the cement lab at UVic. So it's a 3-day course, and it involves going over the basics of aviation, which I learned as a pilot myself when I was actually doing flying manned aircraft. And it goes over all the basics that a UAV pilot needs to know. You have to know how the aircraft flies. You have to know how to read a navigation chart. You have to know how to forecast and predict aviation weather. Otherwise, to determine whether or not you can even fly your RPAS in, say, a control zone, or even in an uncontrolled airport. So there's some of these basic fundamentals and rudiments that we go over in the course on days 1. Day 2, we talk about the multi-rotor specifically, its limitations, emergency checklists, how to develop a company operating manual for your specific operation, for your specific aircraft. And then in day 3, we do a practical a flight to give the students an opportunity to do an actual flight and to get that stick and rudder skills necessary to fly the aircraft and to demonstrate that they actually know how to fly the aircraft and control it in whatever way that may look like. It's been a very successful course. We've trained probably over 2,000 people in that time, and it's been a wonderful experience to see trained pilots, even like yourself, move on, pass their exam, get the certificate, and then move on to become successful in what they're doing. And Transport Canada has our school listed on their short list of recognized certified training centers in Canada. So a lot of people come to us through that so that they know that they are in something that is good, that is quality, that is vetted, which is important too. Because unfortunately I've seen some training sites, and I've had some students in a flight review that got their training online or somewhere else, and I was really questioning their understanding of even the basic fundamentals of aviation and RPAS laws in Canada, because they did some online course for $79 or something like that online, and thought that they had met the training requirement when they did not. So that's a challenge as well going ahead, unfortunately, as well. Is, we had a saying in the private pilot world, like, you're only as good as your instructor when you're talking about being a pilot. And so whoever's teaching you better know what they're talking about. Otherwise, you're really setting yourselves up to get into trouble, potentially even with the law or with Transport Canada. So, but we've been happy that we've, all of our students, have never heard any incidences with them at all getting into trouble, and they've gone on to be successful in what they're doing. And so it's, and at the end of that 3-day program, you get a certificate from us, which would qualify you for an SFOC as well, if you ever had to down the road apply for the Special Flight Operations Certificate. So that's another advantage of taking the training program with us. And then we also offer the 2-day program, which is more advanced, where we just take the aircraft out into our test range area, just over here in Saniston, and give the students an opportunity to get more stick and rudder skills, more flying in there, and more advanced operations, i.e. how to do a remote automated waypoint navigation operation. Like, let the students program on them and then go see the aircraft go fly itself, just to get the feel for that, because it's very intimidating doing that without training or have done it before. you see the aircraft take off by itself and start flying away. It's like pretty daunting to a pilot without experience. And again, there's more things you have to know on that level. What do I do in that situation if something goes wrong? How do I keep VLOS? How do I plan the mission? At what altitudes? At what contours? How's the weather? How's the wind? We all take those things into account when we're going through the systematic checklist. So it's, as I said, it's a wonderful technology, and it's been a great business opportunity for me over the years, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. And we want to just keep it going and keep on rolling with it, and see it become even more established as it integrates into our airspace. Number one, safely. You know, we don't want these things getting into mid-air collisions with any aircraft, and also in the public. So, you know, I want to see them get to the point where the public are like, you know, they see an aircraft flying over their house, they can be rest assured that it's a UAV, it's a drone that is operated by a professional that knows what they're doing. That's where I want to see the technology go, where you never have to look up and say, is that a rogue drone? Is that someone trying to spy on me? Or is that an uncertified operation? You should be able to look at the drone and say, that is certified. That's a professional controlling, and be rest assured.